Hello everybody and happy 2024. I'm Jennifer from Joy of Stationery and welcome to my channel or welcome back. I thought I would kick off the new year, January 2024, with a video that goes over what my 2024 lineup has looked like in practice. At the end of December and at the end of 2023, I did a techo kaigi video where I had a kind of techo kaigi planner meeting, looking at the different kinds of techos and notebooks that really worked for me in 2023 and how I imagined using them in 2024. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, those notebooks have pretty much stayed the same, but some of their functions have changed a little bit. So this is a video meant to show a little bit of how it's going from how it started. To begin, I just wanted to say that I have a couple of piles here. This one is my journal pile, and this here is my planning system or my planner pile. And then I have this passport traveler's notebook in the middle here because it sort of straddles both of those categories. So I'm using this for some planning needs as well as some journaling needs, and I'll speak a little bit more to that. I'll start off here with my planning system for 2024 thus far. If you saw my techo kaigi video for 2024, you'll know that I was using the standard traveler's notebook with my Hobonichi Weeks as a combination Weeks plus traveler's notebook setup. That has changed a little bit, mostly because my Hobonichi Weeks itself has ended up chunking up a little bit already. And the way that it was sort of fitting in the traveler's notebook along with other things was making it bulk up in a way that made it quite awkward to close. So I've changed things around just a little bit. So first of all, I just wanted to show that I have two planners here that I'm using primarily. This first one here, which is the Hobonichi Weeks in the Tiny Dragons design from the 2024 release, is in some ways my everyday carry all-in-one personal planner. What I have in here now is a different version of a weekly planner, and this is one that I was really excited to use. And this one is the first edition of the Creffective Paper Planner, the 2024 one, and I have really been loving this. Paulina from Paper Joy PH has done a really great review of this as well, so I won't go too much into detail at the moment, but I just wanted to show you a little bit about how I was using each of these. So in my techo kaigi video, I showed a little bit about how I've been using the standard traveler's notebook with the Hobonichi Weeks inside it. I've since switched out some things. I'm using here the clear zippered pocket insert. And for now, I've actually put the Take a Note calendar that comes with the Take a Note mini and placed it in here just as a quick reference and just a really simple way to just kind of have this there as I begin to kind of fill this up with other bits and bobs that I might need. The weekly Creffective paper planner then I am actually inserting into the pocket here, and I believe that I've seen Atia from Dozy Ghoul actually do this with her Hobonichi Weeks, and I had actually tried it out for some time as well earlier in January, and I actually really ended up liking it. So I decided in this case to actually do this with the Creffective paper one. The Creffective Paper Weekly is a bit thicker than the Hobonichi Weeks is, but I'm finding that because of that, there's a way that it closes a little bit more uniformly than it did when I had the Weeks in it, and the Weeks was kind of bulking out here and making the whole thing kind of flare out as such. So I actually really like that I'm able to kind of put this in here. The Creffective paper planner I'm finding absolutely beautiful, and I'm using this as specifically a work planner. I'll show just a little bit of the inside. The printing is so crisp and beautiful, and I love the layouts as well. So this is what a weekly layout looks like, and I feel like it's just designed so well, and it's something that I'm really enjoying in terms of thinking about this as a work planner. You can see that there is a little section for what to focus on for the week. You have little weekly to-do list, if you'd like to kind of fill that in here. You have a space for each day of the week, not only on the left-hand side, but also some space on the right-hand side. And I actually really like that there is this kind of division between them. And I've been using this side, for example, for time-bound appointments, and then using this side for perhaps, you know, special kinds of tasks or certain things I needed to kind of remember. Maybe a report came out that day, or something important in my inbox that I just kind of wanted to flag for that day. And then you have this flexible space that you have in the Hobonichi Weeks as well. That usually takes up the entirety of the right-hand page. But here you have just a section of it, but I find that this is really quite enough, especially given kind of all this other space that they have here. And I've been using this section here to do something that I did early on in a work-related Hobonichi Weeks, where I actually list all of the ongoing projects that I have so that I remember them from week to week, and I can have a sense at any given week when I flip to it which ongoing projects are still active. So I have really been loving this. I don't want to flip too much into it because it does have some sensitive work information, but I just wanted to show you kind of how that setup is sort of looking. And again, I just have the clear zippered insert in here, and I've actually been using this Hobonichi pencil board if I need to kind of use that within the planner itself, and otherwise I've just been keeping it in the back here, just slipped like this. And of course this ends up shifting a little bit, but so there you have it. It's a really just quite a simple setup, and I'm just really liking this for now because it gets the job done, and it makes it really easy to kind of have around and kind of keep around for work. And if there are any extra kind of papers and documents and things, the cleared zippered pocket, and I also have a secretarial pocket on the back here that gives me some room to tuck in documents that I can, you know, bring home or, you know, put elsewhere if need be. But if I need to keep it all together, I have the means to do that in this wonderful traveler's notebook setup. What I ended up doing with the Hobonichi Weeks then is transferring it to this Yamamoto paper canvas cover. So this is a canvas cover that I believe is initially designed to be used with the really slim, long Yamamoto paper notebooks, but I have found that the Hobonichi Weeks actually fits really beautifully in it as well. So you can see, for example, just like this, and you know, you can kind of work within the Hobonichi Weeks, you know, and it lays flat and it's perfect. What I sometimes also like doing is actually tucking the whole thing into the pocket here. And I feel like that's nice to kind of carry around like this so that you also, you know, in case you're afraid that things will kind of come out of it or that the pages will get marred or dirty or anything like that, it's kind of tucked away. So I actually like the fact that the pocket here is expansive enough that you can do it either way. Just slip in the back cover itself or the entirety of the thing. I think that I talked about these Yamamoto canvas covers in maybe my September favorites video at some point, but you can see that it has a lot of functionality. There's a way in which it provides a lot of lovely pocket space that's different from, but perhaps also comparable to some of the canvas wallet inserts that you could insert in the standard traveler's notebook as well. And you can see that this could actually fit in there, I think, decently well. But I just wanted to kind of show you, you actually have two pockets here. One is a pocket where you could actually insert a pen. It is a little bit snug, so I think the thicker pens you would have a little bit harder of a time getting in there, but you can also put those then in this pocket as well. So these pockets go all the way down. Right now I just sort of have some little movie posters that I printed out because I'm going to cut them for the media portion of the Hobonichi Weeks, which I've been using the notes for. And I just kind of have this with this cute little paper clip here. I also like that on the back, you can see that I've kept my field notes with the Hobonichi Weeks here, because there is a pocket that expands the entirety of the back, and so that fits in really, really wonderfully back there. And then this front cover also has a zippered pocket in case you need to keep anything there. So it's a really, really handy kind of cover or sort of pouch situation. And I've been finding it really nice to use with the Weeks. So this is what I kind of migrated to from the Traveler's Notebook standard size. As I mentioned, I think possibly in the techo kaigi, I've been staying quite consistent with the Weeks, and I'm really, really happy about that. And my inspiration for it comes from Setuna, and I will link her channel below as well. But I've been using it in the way that she has been using hers, particularly the kind of left-hand portion, and then I've just been using the right-hand portion as a running to-do list for the week. I'll show you a little bit about how I've broken that up here. So I've split the left-hand page up into 3 columns, and this is what Setuna has done as well. And Setuna kind of uses this middle portion, as I have here, to mark kind of the weather of the day and the high and low temperatures, I believe. And that's what I've been doing as well. I believe that Setuna uses this left-hand column to choose kind of the one big priority item for her that day. I've been doing something similar, so there might be something particularly important that I have to remember to do that day. So it has become a kind of one main priority thing, or kind of one major thing of that day, just to kind of flag it for myself. And then this I've been using as a kind of task list for that day. So taking perhaps some of the tasks on my running weekly to-do list and then incorporating them into the actual days here, and maybe breaking some of those tasks into smaller micro tasks and things like that. This column here I have added specifically for my own health. So this is a quick way that I can log some of the symptoms that I'm feeling that day. I have a separate health journal as well, but this gives me a quick way to kind of log it all together with my everyday carry planner here. And as you can see, and I think as I showed previously as well, I've been really consistent with this because I actually started this Weeks back at the end of November, and it really was because I wanted to establish a kind of consistency with that. And so you can see that I've really carried it throughout. Oh, and what I've been doing on a weekly spread where a new month begins is where I have this little memo decorated by Eric Small Things. I might add a few more kinds of decorations, but I'll put my word of the month and stamp it on there so that it's a nice way to give me that reminder, even if it's on a weekly spread. And continuing on. I also wanted to talk a little bit about this adorable Passport Traveler's Notebook as part of my planning system as well. The other two that I talked about are weekly planners ultimately, and I decided to make those my primary planners. What that does mean is that I've moved away from the A6 Hobonichi as a planner per se, and I've been using it for more journal type purposes, but I still wanted a way where I have the potential to plan on a daily or more micro basis if I needed to. So what this wonderful Passport Traveler's Notebook is encompassing at the moment are both the categories of planner as well as journal. And let me show you a little bit about what's inside here. So I actually have 3 inserts in here at the moment. The first one is actually a journal, so I'll speak to that later on. The second one here is actually a field notes that I've cut down into the passport size, and I'll speak a little bit more to that perhaps in a later video, but I have basically been using this one then as a way to keep a running bullet journal. And so before I was using the field notes as a kind of bullet journal or journaling space with my A6 Hobonichi in 2023, prior to that, I was actually doing really well with a bullet journal setup in the Passport Traveler's Notebook, and I really, really loved it. So I decided to go back to that and try that again. So I've cut down this field notes, and I wanted to try some of this out. So it actually feels really good to be back to bullet journaling, just back to basics. And I find that it's a really nice complement to the kind of weekly layout. And it also means that there are days when I don't necessarily have to have kind of a bullet journal setup where I can kind of handle everything with the weekly planners. But if I needed to just kind of jot down some notes, get some things kind of clarified, maybe get a little bit more micro in terms of tasks, I find that bullet journaling is a really helpful way for me to do that. I also found that it's a nice way to start off the day's entry actually with a tear away from the daily calendar. And this is the Eric Small Things daily calendar here. So you're able to kind of tear off each days, and each one has actually a different design, which is a lot of fun. And I thought that I would try it here by putting it at the forefront of the day's entry and kind of moving along in that way. So that's how I've been incorporating bullet journaling into here and my second insert. And then my third insert, you can see that I've decorated it with these dinosaur patches, and I was just embracing my inner child in that way. This is actually the dated weekly, and I'm not using this obviously for the same kind of planning that I'm using my other weekly planners for, but instead, specifically, I am using this to keep track of our meals and our meal expenses. So it's not so much meal planning as it is kind of meal budgeting in a way, and just kind of logging some of that. But it's something that I wanted to try out and incorporate with this lovely passport setup here, precisely because this is also something I like to bring along with me if we happen to go to cafes or eat out at a restaurant or something. And I realized it's a great way to kind of log those experiences, as well as kind of keep track of what our budget is and how we've been doing in terms of cooking at home versus eating out on a weekly or monthly basis. So that's how I've been using the wonderful Passport Traveler's Notebook as part of my planning system. What I will be showing next in a later video is how I've incorporated journaling into this, as well as the journaling stack that I showed later on. I hope that this was helpful for now and that it was a little bit of a shorter video. I hope that you all are having a safe and restful new year, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.